Hey everyone, and welcome to the second video in my Frosthaven Starting Classes First Impressions series. This is where I'm just looking at the different classes, comparing them to the Gloomhaven starting classes, just giving my very early impressions of what the classes could do and the different kind of builds and their strengths and weaknesses. If you like this video, please hit that like button and please subscribe if you'd like to see more. I'll be doing a video on each of the different starting classes and you'll be able to find that on my channel in a playlist below. This video will be probably slightly rough around the edges compared to my previous one, so apologies for that, but that's because it's going to be just me speaking to a camera as before. So without further ado, let's just get into it. Okay, let's look at the Blink Blade. So the Blink Blade, they have a hand size of 10. Health wise, this is kind of like on the lower end, but in terms of if you're kind of like a melee roguey type character, this is like pretty much in line of what we've had before with the Scoundrel, so this is pretty similar to what we've seen before. Let's just crack straight into the cards. So the cards, we should probably start with this, which is the special rules. So take note, when you're playing the Blink Blade, you must declare at the start of each round before card selection or deciding to long rest whether you're fast or slow. If you're fast declared, the Blink Blade removes one counter from this card. Fast cannot be declared if there are no counters present. Okay. The Blink Blade must apply all bonuses and penalties to his actions specified by the fast sections of their cards. If slow is declared, the Blink Blade adds one counter to this card if there are less than 2 counters present already. Slow can still be declared even if it doesn't add a counter. Okay, so you can't like multiple stack counters basically. Okay. Nice, okay. You start each scenario with one counter, which is nice, so you could immediately go fast. While only 2 counters can be accumulated on this card from declaring slow, up to 5 counters can be accumulated through abilities. Interesting, okay. Interesting. Okay, so let's have a look and see what kind of ramifications that will have. So Twin Strike. Attack 2, slow is -1 attack. Attack 2, slow is another -1. Fast is out of the move 2. So this is nice. So basically you can do an attack 2, then you can move 2, gain an XP if you're going fast. If you're going slow, this attack's not great. But you can modify this with enhancements. So this could get better. Or you could add a like wound or poison or something like that, could be quite strong here. I presume that if you declare fast, you use the number on the left and slow or the number on the right. So 24 or 54 initiative. This is a brand new style. There's no other character that does anything like this that I've seen before. In Gloomhaven, Frosthaven, whatever. Move 3. Fast, you're going to retaliate 2. Make the wind element for the round. Slow, you're going to -2 moves, so you're only going to move 1. But you're going to heal and create the earth element. I mean, this is I really like cards that have multiple attacks because it can allow you to start stacking things like poison. So poison, for example, if you manage to attack a poison target, you can essentially attack a poison target with this if you were going fast for 2 plus the poison 3, and then 2 plus the poison 3. So you can attack them for 6 here. So it's nice that you're getting that extra bonus. So being able to attack one target for, well, getting to attack one target for 4 and then potentially move away is very strong. I like the fact that that seems quite thematic for the character as well. You jump in, you know, you do some damage, then you jump away. You kind of disappear back into the shadows. Blurry Jab. Attack 3. Fast, +1 attack. Wound, 1 XP. Slow, -1 attack. So it's just an attack 2. Interesting. This is very strong. Very strong. It's going to be interesting to see how often you're going to need to go fast and slow. So we'll just kind of breeze through these and we'll try and make more of an assumption towards the end. But this is very strong. If you could consistently do this is great. 20 if you go fast, 50 if you go slow. Yeah, 20 is a decent early initiative. Move 3, fast, extra 2 move. So moving 5 is a huge move. Slow is a -1 move, so you'd move 2, which is akin to essentially doing this. But the reason why they've done that is because you can obviously enhance this card. It's fine. I'm liking thematically how this works, that this character you have to play with tempo a lot more. So this is going to be a very interesting character to play for sure. And managing your counters is going to be very interesting. And there's certainly going to be situations where this is going to be probably more of a combo-based character, in which you're going to need to get used to playing the character and the combos and when to use your different cards. So this reminds me of a class in Gloomhaven. I will use the code names. I'll say it reminds me of the Eclipse class in certain respects, where there's a lot of tempo involved in how you play the class. Tempo and combo. Overdrive. Gain shield 1 for the entire round when you declare slow. So that's nice. That's actually something that you get. That's kind of a bit of a benefit if you're going slow. You gain Retaliate 2 for the entire round when you declare fast. Well, Retaliate 2 is great, but you're a low health character, so you don't, like... I don't think you really want to be using Retaliate. So this is a card that I would actually probably prefer to play the slow top of it. However, it's a burn card, so it's not something that you want to use often. I think I would struggle with this. I would struggle with the top of this card to use it in a decent way. It feels like the kind of card that I am burning to get the XP and not much more. You get a very minor benefit off of it. Muddle. Target all enemies with range 2. Slow within range 3 instead. I don't know about this one. Muddle is nice. And I guess it's at least something that you could do if you are going slow. However, with 90... I mean, you can muddle for the next round, I guess. I don't mind this too much. Within range 3 is nice that, it's actually giving you a benefit for going slow. Because you're going to need to go, you know, you might be able to go like fast, but probably not. Because of the counters and things. So we'll see. Because you only start with 1 counter, so you're going to want to go slow. Probably pretty early on in the scenario. At certain points. You're not going to be able to go fast from what I've seen so far. But then there's some counter stuff coming up, so let's see. So kinetic transfer, move 2, slow -2, so you don't move at all. Well, technically you don't move, but you still get a move action. So if you had something like boots, for example, you could, if you had like boots of striding, which gives you +2 move, you could actually use those to get a move 2 here, because you would have move 2, -2 is 0, but you still technically have a move action, so you could use items to then move after that. So you can still move here. Then you do an attack 2. If you went fast, you also get a push 2. This doesn't seem very... This seems a little bit underwhelming to me, unless you have a way to use these elements, which I haven't seen yet. This is a bit underwhelming to me. The bottom is move 4. That's a big move. Fast. All adjacent allies and enemies suffer 1 damage. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of interesting. All adjacent allies and enemies suffer 1 damage is an effect that the Kragheart also got with their with one of their starting cards. I think it's Rumbling Advance is the card for the Kragheart. So that allows you to move and you also do 1 damage. Again, I like dealing like true damage or pure damage because it gets through things like shields. For some usually very tricky enemies that have high shields actually have low health, or they did in Gloomhaven. So this can be quite a nice way of just getting a little bit of damage in there against a tricky enemy. So this is good. The adjacent allies thing sounds bad, but actually over the course of a scenario, 1 damage is not a huge amount, so that's not too bad. Slow means that you only move 3. I mean, move 3 is still pretty good. You may remove 1 counter to perform a push 3. Oh, okay. So there's a way here that you could actually specifically just you remove a counter. It's not to do with just fast. So in theory, you could remove 2 counters here, because if you went fast, you'd have to remove a counter for going fast and also potentially remove one if you wanted to do this push 3. Pushing can be great, especially with traps, also with enemies, allies that need to be have enemies positioned, so with the banner spear, for example. But push is not something that you're going to want to do consistently. Sure, this seems absolutely fine to me. Sap speed. So you're going to do an attack 2 enemies. If you go fast, you get +1 attack and you get advantage on that attack. That's nice. That means that you can hopefully get an extra bit of damage, or at least not draw poorly and fail an attack. So this just means that you're probably more consistently going to be able to get that 3 attack value that you're shooting for. Just helps make your decisions a bit easier. If you go slow, it muddles. And that's actually pretty good too. It doesn't give you the XP though, which is interesting. So it looks like most of the time, is it the fast actions that get you XP? It looks like if going fast gets you the XP, not going slow, which I guess makes sense because that is sort of like the amped up version, right, of the ability so far most of the time. But muddle is a nice effect, and that could be a little bit of control. And actually, I wouldn't mind actually just doing this on a slow turn. I'd be fine with attacking something for 2 and muddling them. And the bottom is stun. Target all adjacent enemies. Gain 1 counter for each enemy targeted. Right, so this is what they were talking about, that you can get up to 5 counters. So if you time this right, 1 stun is incredibly powerful. So if you could stun like 3 or 4 things, that is incredible. And that will buy a lot of time for your team. And can certainly help turn the tide of a difficult scenario. Gain 1 counter is also amazing because it's going to soup you up for the next few turns. So you're going to be able to stun a load of stuff, then you're going to be able to go super early because of your fast abilities in the next round. So that's going to really kind of power you up, and it means that you can probably take several turns in a row going fast. So this is very strong, and I can see why it's a burn effect, because it's a very powerful effect. This card is powerful. I will say so far in terms of power level, this has been more in balance in my opinion with the Gloomhaven starting characters. These guys are like, this guy is more powerful. Definitely this Blink Blade is more potentially more powerful, but has difficult setups, right? You can't consistently do it. It's a combo based character. So in terms of like, if you were to compare this to say the Scoundrel can quite easily make the adjacency bonuses work at low level. However, going fast, that's something that you're going to have to work on getting the timing right yourself. So very interesting though. This will be a lot of fun to play around with this fast slow mechanic for sure. So oh, here you go. So drive recharge, there's literally just a card that says gain 1 counter. I don't know how good that will be. That to me feels like the kind of card that you're just like I have nothing to do. Perhaps before we open a door, perhaps there's like a situation where your allies want a long rest and you're on your own, so you're just like, do you know what, gain 1 counter. You can gain a counter by going slow, so I guess you could go slow and gain 1 counter, so you could essentially gain 2 counters in a turn by going slow and playing this card. So yeah, don't really know how to judge it, but it soups up your character, and I'm sure you'll find some situations where you can do this safely. Heal 2 self. If you do it slow, +2 heal. So again, you can heal yourself for 4. This card, I mean, its 99 initiative is, well, it's the slowest initiative in the game, apart from, I guess, if you were to long rest. I don't know if they've got a new rule in which when you long rest, your initiative is technically higher than that. However, usually when there's when there's a tie, you go by the other card. So I'm guessing if you long rest, your initiative is essentially like 99.99, and if you had used this, it would be 99 plus whatever your other card would be, because you'd have to play 2. So presumably you will always go first here over long resting. Hit and run. Attack 2, fast, an extra attack. Move 2, if you go slow, -1 move. Pretty similar to the other one. Seems... I mean, again, this doesn't seem anything incredible. This reminds me very much of like the Mind Thief. The Mind Thief has a lot of, you know, low attacks, but you can increase them with the Mind's Weakness augments, and the different augments give you a lot of play with how you can control the battlefield and how you can do damage. You can check out my Mind Thief guide if you like, clicking on my channel below, but I did a guide on that. The Mind Thief is one of my favorite characters. After doing the guide, I really fell in love with the character by looking at it in depth, so check that out if you like the Mind Thief. But this character definitely has some similarities to the Mind Thief, and has some similarities as well to the Scoundrel, in the fact that there's a lot of kind of moving and attacking involved. Lots of kind of like moving in, attacking, moving out, and playing around with that. Okay, so attack 2, fast, +1 attack. Move 2, slow, -1. So the bottom of this is on your next 5 attack actions while fast, perform a move 3 as the final part of the action. Okay. You can earn some XP here, so you can do this up to 5 times. It is 5 times, right? Or is it 6 times? No, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, and it goes. Yeah, so 5 times. I think that's pretty good. I mean, tagging on move 3 can certainly help you get out of trouble. So if you wanted to like go in, do an attack and get out because you're low health, or you know, this character is not a high health character, so you're not going to want to be taking much damage. I can see this being quite useful. As well as if you have a look at the fact that you have multiple attacks. So for example, on this, we could essentially attack, then move, then attack, then move, and then move again. So we've got like a lot of play there with how that works. Yeah, this is fine. I'll be honest though, everything that I've seen so far, I wouldn't classify anything here that I'm seeing as like busted. Compared to the Banner Spear, that character seemed a bit busted to me. This seems more like on a power level. It's definitely a little bit stronger than perhaps we saw at level 1 at Gloomhaven, but it's not a million miles away. This is feeling a bit more familiar. Attack 4, fast, a target 2. Well, this is strong though. Okay, now we're into some strong cards. So attacking 2 things for 4. But you poison yourself. So this is quite a bad drawback, especially if you're a melee character, because quite often you're going to end up in the firing line and there's not much you can do about it. So poisoning is kind of bad. I mean, I know we could potentially use things like regenerate that we've seen before, and there are other ways we can heal to get rid of it, but that is a considerable drawback, I would say. Slow would actually muddle yourself. Presumably we do the attack first, then we apply this effect, or does this? So this like we don't muddle ourselves first, right? So same with why this is. It basically just adds it onto the end. So we would do the attack of 4, then we would muddle ourselves. I would much rather be muddled than poisoned, but targeting 2 things is strong. So, and the 1 XP, and it's not a burn, so pretty good. 17, very strong initiative on fast 2. Move 2, fast, +5 move, that's great. Slow, heal 3, affects self and all adjacent allies. 1 XP, but you burn this card. So this is like a move 7, or like a very high value move card would usually be a burn in Gloomhaven 2. So like I'm okay with that. That's pretty much in line with the level. Healing yourself. I definitely want to be using this for the move 7, not for the move 2 heal 3. That's where I'm at with this card. I would much rather be doing this as a fast than a slow, I think. But there's some utility there. I think the top of this card is pretty strong. So this is kind of fine. The only thing that annoys me is that because this is a burn, you're going to have to probably use this as just a move 2 standard at some point, because you're not going to want to burn. At least early in the scenario. Certainly not like a move 7. A move 7 is the kind of card that I would play to get to a chest that's kind of awkward and out of the way, or get right up to an enemy quickly because you've long rest and you're now like far away from the battle or something. Experimental adjustment. We're into the X card, so suffer 2 damage straight. You always do that. If you go fast, all enemies within range 2 suffer 1 damage, and you go invisible. That's kind of neat. Taking 2 damage is interesting. I kind of like that. I think that's the suffer 2 damage. I mean, that's a fair amount of damage, but I mean, if you're not getting hit, you can always heal and you can play around with that. Like if you're smart with your initiative and the way that you move and your positioning, you can kind of get away with not taking too much damage over a scenario. So, you can always heal up too, especially if you've got a dedicated healer. You do have a heal card yourself, so it is possible. Invisible, I haven't seen anything that plays around Invisible yet, but Invisible is a very strong effect because you can mess around with doors. You know, you can mess around with forcing enemies through traps. There's various things you can do. It also allows you to set up for your potentially a nice long rest for the next round when you're in the midst of combat. It also will allow you to maybe set up a really big combo-y turn. So I like it. I mean, the suffer 2 damage is a bit, but the only thing that kind of annoys me is that you have to go fast to go invisible here. You know, so you're kind of burning a token, which means that if you haven't stocked up on your tokens already, you know, you're not really going to want to, yeah, it feels like you're doing this maybe more defensively than offensively. And 12 initiative though is super early, so there's a good chance you're going to get to go before everyone else to make sure you go invisible and not take any damage. Slow, immobilize, muddle, target all enemies within range 2. That's, I mean, that actually might be pretty good, because if you suffering 2 damage, but if you manage to say immobilize several melee characters so that they can't do an attack, then that is probably saving more than 2 damage. So I'm okay with this. I think this is all right. The model is a bit weird because it's kind of like if you can get some ranged characters involved in there too, then the model could help. And the model could actually save you from some damage too. So this is more of like a team. This is definitely team orientated. This is just like, this is personal survival. This is team orientated. So, but 42 is kind of slow if you wanted to do it for that round. So you'd need to pair this with another card for sure. But that's the problem, right? If you pair it with another card, you're just going to be going, like, all of the slow initiatives are slow. In fact, that's the quickest slow initiative we've had so far. Yeah, on 42. This might be too slow, especially against some quick melee enemies like hounds from Gloomhaven. This wouldn't cut it. Move 3. Fast, loot 1. Again, so that's interesting. So they are allowing people to move and loot in the same turn. So this is another character that has the option of moving and looting in the same action, which I like, because I've always felt like movement was like looting, sorry, was always just like you had to sacrifice a turn to loot unless you were a certain characters, like the Scoundrel, for example. So I like this. This is allowing you to more naturally gain loot. So I quite like it. If you go slow though, you get an extra move, but then you immobilize yourself. So it's kind of like I don't know, like you pulled your hamstring or something as you tried to run, and then you kind of hurt yourself, so you have to like take a turn off from moving. I guess if you were trying to get away and you're gonna long rest, like the next round or something like that, like you weren't intending on doing much the following round, then this is absolutely fine. Yeah, I think that this card is definitely more control-y. It's hard to it's kind of hard to be able to quantify it, really. Temporal displacement. Okay, so we got fast, move 2, and then we've got loot 1. So again, another way of moving and looting, or just looting. But the fact that it's on the top of the card means that you could, in theory, just play like a move 2 standard bottom and then loot 1. So again, this is another way that you can kind of loot in a single turn. So this is good. And in fact, you could do it in a single card top if you wanted to, if you went fast. So yeah, it's just making looting easier. Fast, move 2. Oh, I don't want to make a comment on this though. Let's delete that. Fast, move 2, attack 2, slow -1 attack. Okay, so this is just a way that you can maybe get another attack in on the bottom. It is always interesting to see attack actions on the bottom rather than on the top, because it usually means that you can start playing into, you know, poison. You can start sort of stacking multiple attacks against poison enemies together, which can be very good. I'm not a huge fan of this card at the moment. I think that this is pretty low power level, but again, if you want to loot, this seems to be pretty decent for that. Cascading reaction. Attack 3, if you go fast, it's a wound with 1 XP. Move 3, slow -2, attack 3, fast wound. So again, you can potentially attack, move and attack. Stacks very well against poison, as we said. And this is a burn, and you could potentially get a couple of XP. So let's face it, you are not using this card slow. You are never playing the top of this card if you're going slow, because it is just a complete waste. The only time you're going to be doing that is if you are in a dire straits situation. You know, it's the last turn of the game, you need to kill something. This is like your only option, right? Otherwise, you are absolutely not doing this. But again, I don't like using this early on in this scenario. I feel like this is a bit... this is a little bit of a trap. You know, it seems very strong. Like, if I was to do this on turn 1... I mean, it could be very strong depending on the scenario and the enemies that you're facing, but I think you probably want to hang on to it. It's interesting. It's a very strong effect, and it's a burn. I guess why I'm struggling a little bit here is that the Banner Spears seem to have a lot stronger cards, and they weren't burn cards, whereas these are burn cards. They're strong, but they're burns, which means that you really do have to think about it. And your hand size is the same, so as the Banner Spear, it's 10 cards. So you can afford to burn a few fairly early on when you've got 10. Like, you can, in theory, burn 1 or 2 fairly early on and not need to worry too much, but you still have to be careful. So, interesting. 19 initiative as well. Good. Move 3, slow -1 move. Fast, when an adjacent ally moves away from you this round, they add +1 move to their movement. Sure. I mean, this effect at the bottom, you may as well ignore this. In my opinion, I don't see any way that you could really make that consistently relevant or good. And then there's just a penalty basically to the move. I like this. I like the top of this card. I think this is a very strong attack, but it's a burn, 2 XP. I'm kind of struggling to see where this character, like the identity of this character so far. It doesn't seem to have a particularly strong identity. The Banner Spear had a really strong identity. Like, they're in the myth, they're in there, they are dealing damage, you know, they are a tank for their team. They are, you know, using lots of AoE effects. They're using the summons and the allies around them to kind of create a combat unit almost. You know, they are like a general on the field type thing, leading the charge. Whereas this character feels a little bit more like the Mind Thief, but without the trickiness. They just sort of have extra damage. Like most of these fast things are just adding extra damage. You know, going, or like, you know, if you go slow, you minus the damage. You get wound. They do a lot of wounding, I will say that. So wounding is definitely getting a bit more attention because there was also a lot of wound in the Banner Spear. So, yeah. So wound seems to be getting some more attention. Systems reboot. So we'll have a little look. This is weird. Why is the level 2 card? Okay, I'm just going from the PDF. So there's a level 2 card here. We'll go through these X's, then we'll go back to the level 2s. So borrow time. The next 4 times you suffer a slow penalty, ignore it, and immobilize an enemy within range 2. That's nice. That's actually kind of nice because the slow can definitely hurt you, and for the combo potential, this has some good application. I kind of like the idea that this character almost kind of like builds up their combo meter or something, right? So you kind of like get extra counters, and you kind of want to get yourself to a position where, you know, the first few rounds you're kind of like setting up, you're kind of getting yourself ready, and then you get yourself into a nice position. Then you have like a really good set of turns, you know, that will link together very nice, will combo off really nicely, and you'll do a lot of damage. And this could be like a piece of that, or could at least make it interesting. The thing is, though, is that it's every time you suffer a slow penalty, so there could quite easily be situations where you suffer slow penalties and actually this doesn't trigger in a meaningful way or a useful way. So there's that. So when you play this card, will be quite important. But it's okay. It's a nice way of getting a couple of extra XP too, because you can very easily trigger this 4 times just by choice. So in terms of leveling up, this will get you XP. If you go fast, you go 1 on 1. I mean, 1 is low. As low as it comes. So 1 initiative. I don't think I've ever seen a 1 initiative card before. So that's interesting. Fast, all allies subtract -1 move from all of their movements this round. Move X, where X is twice the number of your allies. Okay, interesting. Okay, so summons can buff this up. This is interesting that all of your allies do this, though. So this is strange, because I don't think we've seen any other card that negatively affects all of your allies in this way. It also raises some questions about communication between your team, because, you know, in order for me to play this card and not, you know, feel like I am doing my team over, potentially, is by being very outright and saying, hey guys, do you need to move this turn? Yes, no, you know, how movement is in Gloomhaven, movement was really necessary and very important. So even subtracting -1 move, you know, if someone was to play like, you know, the reason why you're playing a move 5 or a move, you know, a high move card is because you need that amount of movement. So this could raise some questions about how to communicate this to your team in a non-cheaty way, let's say. Slow though, all allies will add +1. So that's, but that's nice, right? I'd rather give them too much than not enough. This card throws up some questions. At the moment, I don't know if this is a strong enough effect to be included anyway in your deck. So it may well be that, to be honest, this card isn't strong enough to include anyway, so you don't even need to worry about it. All enemies with wound suffer 2 damage. Wow. Okay, this is... this could be potentially very, very good. We've seen ways that we can wound, but we've seen ways that the Banner Spear can wound. This could be incredibly strong. Incredibly strong. The changing of the elements, I don't think is anything we need to worry about too much. That seems like more of a thematic thing that they've gone for here. I don't think it has too much of an intricacy with our class. However, if you are fighting certain types of demons, this could certainly help or not help, depending on depending on which way you look at it. But this could be extremely strong, especially if you pair it with some older Gloomhaven classes. So some of the original unlockable Gloomhaven classes, there are lots of ways in there to target like everything in a room or multiple things in rooms at different ranges, and you can add things like wound onto those cards with enhancements. So you could in theory wound, or have 4 or 5 enemies wounded at any one time. 2 damage is great because it's consistently 2 damage. Does not matter, so it scales with your levels. I mean, 2 damage is granted. 2 damage isn't a huge amount when you're dealing with an enemy with 18 plus HP, but making sure you get through those shields and doing that damage, this is going to be super good against things like living spirits, for example. So yeah, this is strong. But it does require you to set it up, so it's a combo card for sure. Heal 2, affect yourself and all adjacent allies. If you go fast, at the end of your turn, you may remove a counter to play a card from your hand and immediately perform its top or bottom action. Okay, so there is actually there's an item card that allows you to do this in Gloomhaven. It's an item that you get later on in the game. I believe you get it through the prosperity unlock, so I might be wrong on that though. But yeah, there's a way that you can basically do this by using an item. This can be really good. This is perform its top or bottom action, so that gives you a lot of flexibility. And in Gloomhaven, it was an item, and it was either you could get one that was the top, and you could get one which was like the bottom. So you'd have to have 2 items essentially to do this. So it was quite a big gold investment. So this can be very strong because it allows you to set up some pretty nutty combos. So this card so far, out of the cards that I've seen, has the biggest kind of like, whoa, this could be busted potential from this character. Alright, level 2s. So we got System Reboot, Heal 3 self, recover one of your lost cards, and then you burn this essentially. And this can't be recovered is what this symbol means. So essentially this is going to heal you, get one of your other lost cards back, and then this card is gone. That's actually pretty good, especially because like my main drawback for a lot of their cards is that they're burn. So being able to get one back is kind of nice, and being able to play 2 cards is quite nice. Play a certain card twice, you can get more XP that way too. So it's a way for you to kind of maximize XP gain. Recover one of your discarded cards. Fast, move 2, slow, recover 2 of your discarded cards instead. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. This is kind of like a stamina potion, but on a card. I guess this is okay because you're not going to be wanting to play this top until later on in the scenario. So this kind of works out fairly nicely. It does mean that you don't have to rest as much, which is nice. So I don't know. This card's a little bit iffy to me. It doesn't really feel like it has a place with this character right now. This bottom effect seems a bit like it's not very tight to what the character likes to do. I mean, I get that they're thematically it kind of works with this system's reboot. I get it, but I don't know. Let's look at the other level 2 card. Attack 3. If we go fast, we get +3 attack, but we suffer 1 damage, 1 card. Instantly better. Instantly better. because if I had this card, all I'd want to do is recover this card. So, okay. This card's already way better than this card. Move 3. If we're fast, we bless ourselves and we suffer 1 damage, which basically means that we have the opportunity of drawing a double damage at some point. Blessing is putting another double damage into your deck. 10 as well. I mean, this is great. This card is much better than this level 2 card. So I mean, I wouldn't even think twice. This would be immediately the card that I would take. It's a little bit frustrating because there is some situations in Gloomhaven where you have this, but for me personally, this card is just a little bit lackluster. It doesn't seem to fit into what the character wants to do, which is to do damage. This feels like a damage dealing character. I want cards that do damage. So, and that's what Reckless Augmentation lets me do. Level 3, double time. Attack 3, slow, -1 attack. Attack 2, fast, move 2. So this is pretty similar to the other level 1 card we had, which allows us to attack. But it's an attack move instead of attack move attack. 1 XP, pretty good. On your next 4 turns while fast, activate all fast bonuses twice. Ooh, that could be great. Imagine on this. Imagine that. You can attack something for 9 damage. That's strong. That's very strong. The top of this card I think is like kind of a bit forgettable because it's pretty similar to the top for one of the other level 1 cards. But this bottom is great. You don't earn any XP, which is interesting. So this to me, the fact that there's no XP on this card, sort of, that tells me this card is pretty high on the power level, like in that respect, because it's, you know, they realize that the bonus that you are getting is very, very strong. So, it's also next 4 turns while fast. So it's not even every time you take a fast bonus, you do it twice. So in theory, you can do some busted things with this card. You could go, I could play this, I could play this, I could short rest, I could get this card back, play it again. You know, you could, you activate everything. So you would get all of the fast bonuses for this. Then I could short rest and do it again. This card absolutely enables some amazing combos with this character. So yeah, for this character, this seems very good. The only, I guess the only downside is that you can only do it 4 times, right? So you're going to have to choose your timing on when to do it pretty well. Make it count. So attack 2, if you're going slow, -1, gain 1 counter. Nothing special here, but counters are a way that, you know, you need counters for your character to operate. So, I mean, and this is a way for you to go, this is a way for you to gain them while still at least doing an attack. I mean, it's an attack of 1, so, I mean, because you're not going to use this fast. Unless the bottom card really wants you to go fast, I don't see why you would do this fast. You would do this slow. Move 2, slow, -1, gain 1 counter. Again, this is fine. This enables you, but it's not fun. This is fun. This is what fun looks like. This is what, like, maybe a necessary evil card might look like, you know? It's not the fun card, but it enables you. So the way that I see it is that if you were very good at timing and comboing, then you take this card. If you are struggling with this character to actually get the counters, you know, to build up and do it, then a card like this will certainly help you be, certainly, you know, make it easier for you to get those counters and to use them. So personally, I'm taking this card because I'm going to try and play efficiently and I'm going to try and play aggressively, but I feel like if you are having some difficulties with the character, this would be a good choice because this is going to help you play fast more often. Okay, level 4s, we've got attack 2 plus X, where X is the number of counters you have. Interesting, very interesting. So the most we can have is it 5 the most we can have, or is it 5? Only 2 counters can be accumulated on this card from declaring slow. Up to 5 counters will be accumulated through abilities. So that's a little bit awkward. I hope they change the wording on that. You know, they should say that, I believe, well, the wording should be something more like, if you declare slow, you know, if you have less than, you know, if you have less than 2 counters, gain a counter. Something like that. But I presume the max limit we can get is 7, but the way that this sort of like works, wait, that says while only 2 counters can be accumulated from declaring slow, up to 5 counters can be accumulated through abilities. So does that mean that I should be keeping my abilities counters and my slow counters separate on this card? Like I should be like, okay, this is what I've got, or, you know, does slow only work if you have 1? I believe this said, yeah, if there are 2 counters present already. So yeah, so it is how it is. So you can have up to 7, I guess. It just reads a little bit, this bit here is a bit strange, but it does clarify it here. So I guess it is 7 is the max limit you can have. So if you could do that, I mean, that would be bonkers, but I think that that's really unrealistic because you're going to be wanting to go fast fairly often. I can't see you getting this to be any more than maybe a +3 or a 4. I would be very surprised if anybody ever got to a situation where they were maxed out with their counters. So I would say that this is probably going to end up giving you something like a +3 in a best case situation. Maybe a +4. Gets you 1 XP. Move 2, where X is the number of counters you have. Yeah, I like that too. It's a very simple and nice design card, right? Very simple. The power level is whatever it's going to be when you have your counters. Without playing the character, I can't tell what the flow of counters is going to be, but in my mind, I can't really see you having many more than 3 counters at any one time. So maybe 4. So I don't think this is going to be good, but it's not going to be busted. Precision timing, add +1 attack to all your attacks when you are slow. Interesting. So this is going to remove that negative that you've been getting for going slow on a lot of those earlier cards, which is going to be helpful for sure, because that is one of the disadvantages to this character, is that when you go slow, you do feel like you are definitely taking, apart from certain cards do give you a bonus, but it does feel like you are taking a worse action to do it. Move 2, fast, attack 1 XP. I'm okay with that. A little attack there for 1 XP, that's nice. You can recur it. Move 2, slow, might as well move. This isn't particularly exciting. The bottom of this card is pretty meh, to be honest. I mean, you can get an XP out of it pretty consistently, but for a level 4 card, this is not good power level. This, however, I think is pretty decent, and it'll actually smooth out your game a lot more. So out of these cards, I'd say actually this is tricky. The initiative is 15, which is nice when you go fast. But again, would you go fast with this card? Probably not, because there's no bonus to going fast on it. So if you're playing it for the top, you probably wouldn't play this fast. You're probably going to play it slow. This one, you're more likely to play slow too, because you don't want to remove the counter, because you're obviously going to want to try and plus your damage. So this one, you're also more likely to play slow on 62. I can't say between these two. I'm leaning towards precision timing, because I think that you could burn this fairly early on and it would actually really improve your overall game, and will help you out a lot more. Certainly make it easier to play, whereas this is a lot more like you're kind of thinking. You're like, okay, I'm going to have a counter here, then I'm going to earn a counter through this, and then I'm going to be able to attack for 6. It's like, okay, we can consistently attack for that with this, so let's not worry about it, because this we can always attack for 6. This maybe we can, maybe we can't. So I think probably precision timing. Okay, so that's all up to level 4. So let's have a look at the sheets for the Blink Blade. Okay, so the sheet is remove 4, remove 2, -1s. We'll just go over this very quickly. So yeah, again, looks like it's very consistent. Yeah. Interesting that you can add one -1 but add one counter card. I don't think I'm a fan of that. I would much rather be playing my character efficiently and not worrying about that. But certainly, yep, it looks like they have the ability to thin their deck to be a very aggressive attack deck. So they make sure that they will draw plus damage pretty consistently. Add 1 regenerate self card. It's a +1, so it's something. Add 3 muddle cards. Add 1 +1 immobilize. Oh, this is fairly good actually. To ignore negative scenario effects and remove 2 +0 cards. This is actually quite decent. My only gripe with Gloomhaven is most of the characters have just, again, the first line. Similar to when we were looking at the Banner Spear, just the first line. So being able to remove 2 +4 cards actually makes it like a perk that's probably worth going for. If it was just ignore scenario effects, I would not consider it. But because you also remove those +0 cards, so you can essentially, again, you're just increasing your chances of doing extra damage. So yeah, overall, I think in terms of character for this, it feels like it's the most similar to probably the Mind Thief compared to the starter with the kind of the multiple attacks. The faster mechanic is different, very different. It's unique, but it's also, it kind of is similar to how augments work, where you're trying to add extra attacks, right? So you're playing your augments with the Mind Thief. Power level wise, I think that they are a little bit stronger than what you would see at level 1, but I don't think they're as far away as the Banner Spear. The Banner Spear to me seems extremely powerful so far compared to this one. I would, if someone was to say, hey, make it, who would win? A Banner Spear or a Blink Blade? I mean, the Banner Spear. So, but I think the power level is higher. The complexity is, I would say, on the same level as playing the Eclipse class. So if anyone had played the Eclipse class in the original Gloomhaven, I would say that the difficulty level is similar to that, but it's not terrible. It's not too confusing. I think once you kind of get a sense of the different the combos that you can pull off and the flow and the tempo of earning those counters and taking them off, I think it would become like actually quite natural the way that you play the character, and it will become second nature with how you play it. But certainly a very interesting character, a unique mechanic, and it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun to play. So that was the Blink Blade. Okay guys, so looking back, I clearly need to learn how to read the cards and the abilities of these new characters better. I'm pretty sure you only get 5 counters after reading that card again, so there's a few little mistakes in there, but hey, this was meant to be a first look, and this is me just going in blindly and just reading things for the first time. So I think it's a fairly easy mistake to make. So hopefully maybe they put a little bit of line of text at the end of those cards. I think that would be a good idea, just to really make sure that it is understood correctly, and there's no grey area for your understanding of how many counters the Blink Blade gets. But apart from that, I stand by pretty much what I said there in that video. I do think it's going to be hard to accumulate lots of these counters, so whether it be 5 or 7, I do think it's going to be difficult for you to get a high value and stack up those counters for really big effects. So you're going to be probably using these counters fairly efficiently over the time. But I think the character is really interesting, so thank you for watching. Again, this video is quite long, but all of these videos are going to be kind of long because of the nature of just going through things for the first time. So I hope you enjoyed them. Please like and subscribe if you did. I have more videos coming this week with the other classes, and I also stream on Twitch, so if you fancy stopping by and maybe seeing me play some Gloomhaven live, you can find me at twitch.tv/mandatoryquest. I stream on there every Monday, Wednesday and Sunday, Gloomhaven and other games, and we're a nice community, so please come by and say hi. But apart from that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks. Bye.